Sierra Oscar 85 and 86 from Sierra Oscar. Harmon Street, the leather store.
Come on, Kathy!
Sounds like a ram raid. 2 male suspects. Both IC1 and heading south in Harmon Street in blue Range Rover. Part registration beginning Echo 828 Victor.
Sierra Oscar 85 received. On our way, Linda.
Can't have got very far. Where's Loxton?
Sierra 1 from Sierra Oscar. Receiving.
Go ahead, Linda.
Location, please.
The Groom Avenue, heading north. ETA Harmon Street, 1 minute.
OK, lads, give yourselves time now. You're looking for a blue Range Rover.
Will do, Sarge.
Whatever he says.
Keep well back, please.
Sierra Oscar from 487.
Go ahead, Kathy.
We're at the leather store now, Sarge. There's been a fatality, one of the raiders.
Have you tried resuscitation?
The head's hardly attached to the body, Sarge.
Right, thanks, Kathy.
Sierra Oscar from Sierra 1.
Go ahead, Dave.
We're in Keene Street. No trace of the Range Rover.
Keep looking, then.
Yes, Sarge.
One less villain for him to find?
Well, I heard this dreadful crash. I looked out of the window and, oh, you can see for yourself. This is the second time in a month this has happened in Harmon Street. Did you know that?
Yes, sir. So just what happened next?
Oh, well, there was this Range Rover. It was sort of parked just up the road there. Anyway, he backed down towards the shop. There was a squeal of brakes, and this bloke got out. He got a sort of a mask on, and he went running into the shop. Well, that's when I dialed 999. Well, he was only in there for a couple of seconds before he comes running out with another bloke. But this one, I got a couple of jackets, I think. But that was all.
Do you remember how they were dressed?
Nothing special. Jeans, trainers, maybe.
What about on top?
Oh, I don't know. I don't take that sort of thing in.
OK, sir, thanks very much.
On your way, please, sir. Well?
These scaffolding poles, when the truck stopped, they must have come right through from the back and will virtually take his head off, sir.
Right. Have we contacted the key holder?
Yes, sir.
Good, you can go and see if there are any other witnesses. Garfield, get out there and shoo the sightseers.
Sir.
Sierra Oscar from Sierra Oscar 1, receiving?
Go ahead, sir.
I think you'd better wake up CID.
Right, sir. Linda, can you deal with that? Reg, I want you to run a PNC check, find out what our options are. Can't be that many blue Range Rovers. Not on our patch, anyway.
There, back there. Come on, Steve. Sierra Oscar from Sierra 1 receiving. Go ahead, Dave. Possible suspect vehicle, Lewis Lane.
Understood.
Sir? I think I know him. Yeah, definitely. Wilson, Joss Wilson.
You're positive?
Yeah, I'm positive. I arrested him a couple of months back on a TDA. He'd nicked a beaten-up old Escort.
He won't be doing much more of that, will he? You know his address?
Somewhere in Almond Street.
Good. Sierra Oscar from Sierra Oscar 1, are you receiving? Over?
Go ahead, sir.
We may have an identification for the body, one Joss Wilson, possibly of Almond Street. Could you check on him and all known associates?
Will do, sir.
Mr. Meadows wants Greg Carver and Lyons to meet him at the leather place.
Fine, get on to it. Reg, how's that PNC check?
Well, there are 3 blue Range Rovers, Sarge, registered in this area. One of them beginning the registration number Echo 828
Dave.
Victor, and that one has actually been reported stolen.
They found the car, sir.
OK, so who saw them leave it there?
Right. There's no damage to the lock or to the door either side. Also, the keys are in the ignition, so I wonder whether it was stolen or not.
Have you done a PNC?
Yeah, it belongs to a Mr. Challen. Hasn't been reported stolen. Also, there's this. Now, I reckon it was used as some sort of a shield across the windscreen.
It's not very macho of them.
Yeah, well, what he really needed was a shield behind him.
This Challen, the truck owner, you pay him a visit.
Yeah, okay.
Look, I better get in there.
Jim, follow me, will you? Sir. Data, you better come as well. We're going to talk to the boy's family.
So?
Tosh, Gov, give a hand with the door-to-door inquiries, will you?
Right, Gov. Better late than never.
Don't. Very sorry, but
Look, what do you want, mate?
we're trying to trace the owner of this Range Rover.
It's not mine.
Yeah, well, we just wondered whether you'd been woken up by any sudden stopping of a vehicle or seen anybody...
Look, the only person who I've seen and who's woken me up is you, and I could have done without it.
Mr. Wilson?
Yeah?
Detective Chief Inspector Meadows, Sun Hill. This is DC Carver, WPC Data. Do you think we could come in, please?
Why? What's up?
Well, if we could come in. There's been an accident.
What is it? What's happened?
Come in. Thank you.
So, what is it?
I'm afraid I got some very bad news for you.
What's happened?
Mrs. Wilson,
Yes?
I think you both better sit down.
Just tell us.
Your son was passenger in a vehicle which was involved in a collision, a crash. And your son was killed.
No. No.
Miss Wilson.
I can't.
I'm very sorry. Mr. Wilson, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to identify the body. Not immediately, of course.
Are you sure you don't want me to make you a cup of tea, Mrs. Wilson?
What happened?
Your son was passenger in a truck, and the truck was driven into a shop.
A truck? Well, what was he doing in a truck? What truck?
Where do you think your son was, Mrs. Wilson?
I thought he was with his girlfriend. Didn't you, Phil?
Yeah. He sometimes stays the night. The girl's mother's there, so
Well, what's this truck? Who was driving it?
We don't know. Now, who's his girlfriend?
Karen. Karen Dawes.
Where?
Harrier House, flat 30.
Thank you. Just excuse me a minute. Tosh, it's Meadows.
Go ahead, Gov.
Apparently, Wilson was with his girlfriend, Karen Dawes, flat 30, Harrier House. Pay her a visit.
Will do.
Jim.
Yes, Gov.
Can I see him?
Well, I don't think that'd be a good idea just at the moment. See, it takes a while.
I want to see him. Please.
Jim?
Is there someone you'd like to come and sit with you, Mrs. Wilson?
I'll get a neighbour.
I don't want anyone. Where'd this truck come from?
Well, Mrs. Wilson, who were his friends? Who did Joss hang around with?
He wasn't this... bit of a loner, really. What happened? What really happened?
We think the truck was being used in a ram raid.
What? But he's never done anything serious. Took a car once, joyriding. All kids are stupid sometimes, aren't they? All kids.
Fair number, yeah.
Come in, Gary.
OK, Mr. Wilson.
I'll be back as soon as I can, love.
I'm really sorry.
I don't want you here, Gary. Please, go back to your own house.
But Sandra...
Please, just go.
All right. But if there's anything...
Once again, I'm very sorry, Mrs. Wilson.
A ram raid?
We think so, yeah.
Who could have got him into that? Karen Dawes. You go, will you?
I do think...
Leave me alone. I want to be on my own.
A neighbour, someone to talk to.
I'll have my husband, won't I?
Damaged? How damaged?
You heard nothing at all last night?
No, not a thing. I'm a heavy sleeper and the bedroom's at the back. Suppose I should sleep in the front, shouldn't I?
It's a thought. So the truck's normally kept here, is it?
Yeah, right here. So, where is it now, and when do I get it back?
We'll let you have it back as soon as possible.
Which could be any time. You know, that'll help business along nicely.
Sorry, Mr. Challen. How is business?
Yeah, well, not too good as it happens. Flat as a pancake.
Must be hard to make ends meet.
Yeah, well, not so hard that I'd go and smash up my own truck.
The keys were still in the ignition when the vehicle was found. Now, why would that be, Mr. Challen?
I'm always telling the blokes to hang the keys up.
And yesterday, who was it who used the truck?
Oh, now that would have been... Look, it was me.
Was it now?
We all make mistakes.
Of course. And do you by any chance keep plywood here?
Oh, yes, but what's that going to do
Could you
with...
show me, please?
It's in there.
I think you could do with some security advice, Mr. Challen.
Well, it's not normally open.
So how did they get in?
Well, the keys were on the same bunch as the ignition keys, which were left...
In the ignition.
Thanks, Tom. I'm sorry, Mr. Wilson. All my fault. All mine.
Teenagers are... Everybody has difficulty controlling them these days.
So, what is it?
Is Karen in?
Karen? What about her?
Did she go out last night?
No. Why?
And is Mr. Dawes in?
No, he's out. He's been out since 1978.
Karen?
Yeah?
Police. You get back to bed if you don't want my hand across your arse.
When did you last see Joss Wilson?
Shouldn't have seen him for days. Have you, Karen?
I'm asking Karen, Mrs. Dawes.
Just tried to help.
Yeah, I saw him about 3 nights ago. Why?
You sure? You last saw him 3 nights ago?
Yeah.
Well, I'm afraid I've got some very bad news for you, Karen. Joss was involved in an accident this morning. I'm sorry to say that he died. Can you tell me how you spent last night, Karen?
She's been in all night. With me. Watching the telly. Ain't she, Karen? So whatever happened, she weren't involved.
Ram raid. Why 7 o'clock Sunday morning?
It's quiet.
So it's 3 o'clock, and it's also dark. Right, let's have Challen and Dawes in for a few little chats.
Straight away.
I don't know what you're used to, Alistair, but strike while the goods are hot's always been my motto.
What were you watching? What was on?
She watched the same things as I did, which was...
Mrs. Dawes, I would appreciate it if you let Karen speak for herself, thank you. Karen,
I wasn't really watching it.
but you said you were watching it. That's what she said, Tosh.
She said she was watching it.
My mum said I was watching it, but I weren't.
So we shouldn't believe your mother.
She means...
Mr. Challen, we need an explanation for why the keys were left so conveniently in your truck and for the wood being taken from your yard.
I'm not efficient. I forget things. I left the keys in the truck. I always leave the keys in the truck. I don't tell the men to hang the keys up. They tell me.
All right, Mr. Challen, let's assume you weren't involved and that the theft was carried out by somebody who knows your business and the way you do things. In which case, I'd like you to write out a list of all your employees, past and present.
There's a lot of them. I employ a lot of casual labour.
It's all right, Mr. Challen. We're not in any hurry.
You were with Joss, weren't you?
No.
But you're his girlfriend, Karen. Why are you so scared of saying you were with him? There's nothing wrong with that.
Say nothing, Karen.
Joss was involved with the crime, but we want to make sure that you weren't involved in it as well. But we can't do that unless you're honest with us. And at the moment, you're not being.
How'd you know that?
You're 16, aren't you, Karen?
Yeah.
That's a nice age to be. What do you do on Saturday nights, Karen? I'm not just asking about last night, I mean, in general.
A party. Or a gig if there is one.
If there's not a party or a gig?
Go out for a drink, whatever.
You don't drink no alcohol, though, do you, Karen?
So there's always something to do. I remember when I first started staying in on Saturday nights. I realised I was getting old. So you didn't stay in last night watching the telly, did you, eh? You'd go out on a Saturday night. Even if it wasn't with Joss. You'd still go out, wouldn't you? Isn't that right? How long were you and Joss going out together?
5, 6 months.
As long as that. You must have been very important to him. You know what happened, don't you? You know more than we do. But you don't want to tell us because you feel it's going to make you disloyal to him.
What happened to him?
He was taking part in a ram raid. And in the crash, a piece of scaffolding went through the back of the truck and into his head. And the people who are doing it with him, they're probably going to do it again. And the next time somebody else is going to be killed, somebody just like Joss is going to be killed. Do you really want that to happen? What sort of loyalty makes you feel that you can let that happen all over again? Well, Karen?
Don't tell him nothing, Karen. They'll twist whatever you say.
We went to the rave. The all-night on Pullman Parade. Everything was all right till 6 in the morning. When he said could I go in with the girls, because he was going off with these blokes.
What blokes?
They was twins. I've never seen them. He was going to go off with them there and then. He was excited, you know. He'd taken quite a lot of stuff. He said they'd come up to him and asked if he wanted to go with him. He said he was going out on his first proper job. They'd had experience. He was proud of it.
The twins, who were they?
I don't know.
All right, what did he say about them?
He didn't say anything. Look, I don't know anymore. Honest, I don't. But he said he'd been introduced. He was really pleased.
Yeah, I just wonder...
Mr. Challen, we've had some new information. Are there any twins down there on that list?
Twins? There's a couple of businesses run by brothers, but I don't... Oh, wait a minute. There were a couple of young twins worked for me last year.
Do you have any names?
Yeah, well, I'm not very good on names. I'll have them back in the office somewhere.
Or where they live?
Now, wait a minute. Their father. I done some work for him. He's got a small haulage company somewhere on the Netherlake estate.
And he's called?
Stevens. There you are, boy. The brain's the best computer. Does that mean I can go back to bed now?
Right. Thanks very much, Mr. Challen.
Anytime.
So, we need Stephen's address. Then we get 2 squads together. One for his home and one for the haulage depot.
I'm glad you've come.
I just thought I'd see if you were all right.
Come in.
Hello, Mrs. Wilson.
We didn't know him, you see. Either of us. We hadn't known him for years. How do we feel? Hey?
Well, it's often difficult with kids to know exactly what they're up to.
No, it isn't that. We didn't know who he was. When he was younger, when he needed us, then it was different. But now... But you always tried to do exciting things with him, didn't you, Phil? I don't think I've ever known you, Arthur.
So these twins, they do the ram race, pass the gear on to their dad. It's a nice little link-up. He's got a haulage business, moves the gear up north, to the Midlands, wherever.
It's very neat, as long as no one gets hurt.
Rick to Meadows, are you receiving?
Go ahead, Alistair.
In position, sir.
Off you go, then.
Okay. John, you go around the back. Okay? Open up, it's the police. Open up. Go on, Dave. Mr. Stevens? Mr. Stevens?
Mr. Stevens.
All right, cuff it.
Twice in one day.
Didn't have too much of a good thing.
Sure. Gary Stevens, I'm arresting you on suspicion of being an accessory to burglary and also for handling stolen goods. You don't have to say anything, but anything you do say may be used in evidence. Very impressive. Things getting a bit hot, were they? Is that why you're moving it all now? Family business. Warms the heart. So, whose idea was it to involve Joss Wilson?
He's dead. As a favour.
And then when he got to about 13, well, he didn't want anything to do with me then. Not with either of us. You don't mind me talking, do you?
That's what I'm here for, Mr. Wilson.
And I'd used to do things, which of course he'd never known about. Sandra had never known about. And I still had contacts. Gary, down the road.
What things?
I've told her, you see. I told her before you come.
Told you what, Mrs. Wilson?
Come in, please.
I was just passing, sir.
Mr. Wilson, I'm arresting you on suspicion of conspiracy to burgle the leather store in Harmon Street. You don't have to say anything, but anything you do say may be used in evidence.
Phil. Don't come back.
You think it hurts me less than you?